Welcome back, everybody, to Phil's Recap and Review. Vikings, Episode 7 of Season 4, The Profit and the Loss. And I am here today, the next day, the day after, to talk about this episode of Vikings. I apologize for not being on after the episode aired. I mentioned it last week that this week there might not have even been a Vikings show because I had a weird commitment last night and then another weird commitment bright and bloody early in the morning today that I had to get up for. So I'm just getting back here and getting a chance to come on and talk about this episode of Vikings. I also have to say, I didn't really take great notes, so we're kind of be going a little bit off the seat of my pants. It's maybe a little shorter than our normal Vikings recaps, but whatever. I'm here to talk about that episode, and I'm looking in the motherfucking chat, and already Flugie got labia lifts from Asslog. Holy crap, yeah, he did. Welcome, Dakota. And welcome to all the people I saw that was chatting last night in the Discord group. Dakota, Lady, Squee, and Sam, I believe, were all discussing the episode last night. If you don't know what that is, I'll put it in the description box below after the video is done. But we formed a Discord group or a Discord chat server type thingy where you can talk to people in between episodes, or if it happens to be that we don't cover an episode, it's perfect to be able to discuss the episodes that are on the air when there isn't an event created to be able to chat in. So I'm excited to talk about this episode of Vikings. I watched it when I got home late last night. I didn't get a chance to watch it a second time, so it's not the freshest as an episode usually is in my mind. But to me, it was all about that first 15 minutes. And we're going to get into talking about that. The first 15 minutes of this episode were unbelievable. Vikings, the best it ever is. Super clear visuals of amazing battles. And then the end of the episode was really awesome too, but the beginning of this episode had me so fucking hyped. Seeing that scumbag, well, it depends the perspective, but seeing Rollo do what he was doing and that whole big setup was just intense as hell. And then to see Ragnar failing through the whole episode, it's almost a little hard to watch. Oh gosh. But if you want to reach me and you want to join in the discussion while we're on today, you can always call in at 781-990-8509 or text that number. You can also jump into the live chat that's open right now and share your thoughts with some of the other awesome folk that are in there right now talking about this episode. You can also email me at igotissuesman@gmail.com, or you can even tweet me at igotissuesman. Joe theoretically may be joining us later in the day. Just to let you guys know, if anyone's curious, people that watch other shows, or Joe had food poisoning for a couple of days, but he's all right. We did not do Vikings last night because of Joe being sick. Joe's pretty much, well, I'd say probably about like 80% better. So he's doing fine. It was more because of a commitment that I had that I couldn't do it. I mentioned it last week, but I only kind of mentioned it in passing on the show. So I just want to make sure I get out here and at least talk about this episode of Vikings a little bit, even though if we don't go for a full recap. This will probably be more review than recap, but it happens. Whatever. Welcome, Ethan. Huge shout out to Ethan. Sam, I think I forget that you guys are in delay, but Joe is doing great. Nice surprise to see you, Phil. How am I doing? I'm doing good. Got up a little too butt cracky early this morning and not too happy about that. But other than that, I'm doing great. I had a lot of fun with this episode of Vikings. It's tough to see Ragnar like this. It really is. But I have to applaud Vikings for going there, for showing us Ragnar in this situation. This isn't shitty fucking Entourage where we had to make Vince a drug addict out of nowhere. Spoiler alert for Entourage. Seeing Ragnar being the person, the age of which he is in, and the understanding of the world at that point in time, seeing him get manipulated by a drug and kind of overthrown, and then the beast getting stronger than Yoko could even deal with. Like getting John on fucking booting shit up, and Yoko's like, even now John's yelling at Paul in the studio. He shouldn't do that. But it seems to be that she's even having some doubts or revelations about how, wow, Ragnar is a out of control animal. I almost wanted him to turn to Bjorn in that situation. And I don't think he can do this. I don't know if he has this gear inside of him, but turn to Bjorn and go, I can't handle this shit right now. You lead the way, dude. You tell him I said you're a smart guy. You kind of know what I would do. We set up Bjorn as being capable at this point. Holy crap. Ragnar is tough to see right now. Oh my goodness. Stoked says, Sam says, I stayed up randomly till 4:30 in the morning chatting with Timo. Oh, it wasn't Lady Screw, it was Timo you were talking with last night. Yeah, you guys were talking about Vikings, having great discussions. So if anyone, as I mentioned one more time, I'll put the link to this in the description box after the video below. But we do have a Discord chat room or chat group open, however you call it. So if you want to join that and keep connections and keep the discussion going in between shows, you can always talk to any of our friends 24 hours a day in that room. There's always someone poking their head and seeing if something's going on. So check that out. Join in. It's really easy. You can download the app or you can just click onto it and kind of sign onto it on the server there, so you don't necessarily have to download anything. It's really easy to just kind of enter your name and jump in that chat. There's also a voice chat in there, so if you're interested in doing that kind of stuff. So that hopefully eventually one day I can get that stuff embedded into the website, and then that can just turn into the motherfucking chat. We'll always have this room open, obviously. I'll never be one of those people that's shut off the YouTube chat to get people to go to the website. I'm not saying anyone does that, but I'm saying some people do that. So I'll never do that, but ultimately it'll be cool to be able to, you can share pictures in that group, videos a little bit easier. Hopefully YouTube will keep upgrading their chat, but we know that some people can't get in there, and I think it's just a better option than the chat wing stuff. So check it out. Rollo is my favorite now, says Dakota. Ragnar is history. Ben, welcome, Ben. Tough episode. I can't stand Rollo betraying his brother and people. I hope Bjorn kills him. I hate Junkie Ragnar too. Ragnar for the entire series has been my favorite character. However, not a fan of Junkie Ragnar. He needs to get off the junk, put a good plan of attack. Lots of blood on his hands and arms at the moment. 100% agree with you. I guess what I meant is, I feel it's justified in a sense, but it's hard to watch. I don't like it either. I like Ragnar being on top of it all, but again, not to be bewilder or bemuse or punch this point in the fucking balls here. Ball fuck this point. But I think Ragnar is not long for this show. And they're trying to do almost Tony Soprano him a little bit in the last season of The Sopranos, to the sense of making him unlikable, making him put in a position where we can see him becoming weaker and weaker, and seeing how his sons are going to take things over. So it's really hard for me to watch. I don't like seeing it, but I have a feeling that's almost their intention. They're trying to prepare us for a world without Ragnar. I hope he does come back. I hope he kicks this shit. Someone asked us, I think someone that texted me or possibly tweeted me, asked the question if I think that Ragnar's coming out of it. I think Ragnar realizes what's going on now. Whether he can come out of it or not is a different story altogether. I know this show's very spiritual and very, very gets in the head and in dream sequency at times or whatever. So we're going to have a big discussion about that Floki ass slog Harbard scene in a little bit. But ultimately, I think it would be kind of difficult for me. I hope they just don't make, oh, he's not a drug addict anymore. Hey, everybody, I'm old Ragnar. If this is part of the way that makes Ragnar completely unreasonable and losing his shit and everything like that, this has been a good, justified, steady decline. I hate seeing it too, though, man. I hate seeing Ragnar like this. He's always been my favorite character, too. And Rollo's actually been my favorite character forever, too. I even accepted his first betrayal because it was within Vikings. But I feel like this is taking a drag Rollo of the last few seasons and how badass he was, running into battle with his shirt off. I kept thinking in this episode while he was watching this whole thing, is he thinking about jumping in there and getting in the battle? Is some part of him? I know when I played in bands all my life, I have trouble going to watch any of my friends that I used to be in bands with, new bands. I just have a whole shit ton of trouble doing that, because when I'm sitting in the audience watching the people I used to play music with play music in front of me, it's tough for me not to feel like, fuck, dude, I want to go up there and do it. Fuck that. If I was sick and someone was covering the podcast for me, I'd have trouble listening to that podcast because I'd be pissed off that I wasn't involved. So part of me feels or wonders if Rollo's up there thinking, shit, dude, I want to be in this fight. Like, where's the Viking in him, you pussy? Did she fuck all the Viking out of you? God, let's jump in the live chat for a second. Rollo is my favorite, says Dakota. Ragnar is history. Sam says, oh, and you only need to join one time and you're in there forever. Oh, thank you, Sam. Awesome. Dakota, you're in there a few times. Not sure how. Maybe you click the invited, whatever. I don't want you to. Either way, friend request me with your asterisk. Bad drugs, poison, everything. Dakota, well said, my friend. Drugs poison the whole lot. Drugs are bad, okay? Okay. Or when you allow drugs to be your life and lead you like this, and you cannot think straight and get your jobs done, that's when drugs are even worse. I'm not saying I accept things for what they are, but there's some people that can do substances and still do their everyday life. And I don't want to be like, oh, drugs are bad. But when you're someone that is so wrapped up in this world like Ragnar is, that you wake up every day and you can't even focus on what you're good at, your talents. There's been several actors or directors, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'd rather Clapton on the drugs. He makes better music. So I'm kidding to a certain extent. But you know what I'm saying, essentially. I think it's taking some mushrooms with the other Viking buddies and tripping out sometimes is all right. But when you start taking whatever he's taking now that's causing him to fuck up his life and fuck up other people's lives, Vikings' lives, then I don't know. It's a fucking problem, dude. It's a real problem. And whether that's in Viking time or right now, it's really difficult. I can't unsee that Floki asslog nightmare. Did they really Vinny his character? Because that was the greatest character assassination in Entourage. Me too. And it was so obnoxious when they just made him into a drug addict for no reason. Sam, I'm not saying they necessarily Vinny'd him, but there are elements of that in this season. Like, this is the Ragnar's on drugs season. But I think it's more justified because on that show, it came out of nowhere. Where this, you see the slow progression. You see everything he went through last season. At the end of last season, he really came to a point where he felt like, I have nothing else to do. Life doesn't mean anything anymore. At the beginning of this season, too, you hear him explain it and verbalize it a little bit better. So it seems to me and everything that's going on with Asslog in a situation, with his lack of a relationship with her. So I can believe that he become this person. Whereas with Vinny, it just came out of nowhere. It's like, okay, he can be recreational for so long, but then suddenly he becomes that. Don't buy it. Okay. We basically just started, Alexia. This was unexpected. Hate better guitar players. Oh, yeah. If you're talking about what I think you're into, Derek and the Dominoes is Clapton at his best, and he was fucking fucked up and Cream and shit. I hate Tears in Heaven and Slow Layla days when he was all straight. It's horrible. Some musicians are just better that way. Oh my God, I'm going to hell. But it's true. It's true. I'm sorry. They can hate me. They can be like, I'm sorry. You cannot express that, sir. You're insulting me as a human. They're probably better humans, and it's probably better for their life and their family to not be all fucked up when they create art. But some artists are better when they're fucked up. Sorry. I'm sorry. As fans, as someone that's a fan, you could say the same thing. Oh, Phil's way better at his podcast when he has a few drinks. Oh, God, that really loosens him up. He's far less of an asshole. I think I become more of an asshole when I drink, but you get the point. Benjamin says, the only way Ragnar gets killed is in a bleep a bleep. Rollo becomes king of Paris. Ragnar's son take over everything. Ragnar gets killed in that place, and the bonus becomes more powerful than his father ever was in the Viking world. There's what he's saying, and we've talked about this before. There are Viking history accounts of what happened. This isn't so much a spoiler because we don't know how they're going to take it. And Ragnar's death is basically down to, or the speculation about Ragnar's death. Some people are more convinced it's the thing that Ben was talking about in the chat, if you're in the chat live, and if you're search history and you know what I'm talking about, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you don't. There is also a second perspective that says that he maybe passed because of, it doesn't matter when, because of infections and shit like that happened too. But I tend to believe that first one, and I think that is going to be our end of Ragnar. That's why we saw that character you're talking about, Ben, earlier this season. I think it's going to connect back to the end of this season somehow, and that's going to come full circle. I do think the show's going to go there. Alexia. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Oh my gosh. Jose says, some artists are better under the influence. I know I play better music. What's up, Phil? Hi, Sam. Can't stay long. Miss the chat. I know I do. If I'm in Jam Band 3000 mode, I'm like, yeah, dude. I can't even feel the shit on my hands. I can't feel my hands. Oh my gosh. So who knows how the show is necessarily going to go? It could go in. It really could go in many different places as time goes on. You guys in the chat, as usual, cracking me the fuck up. Oh my gosh! I was trying. Someone said, "Who said the cocaine's a hell of a drug?" Alex, I had that sound cue up before. I was about to click it in, click on it. I can't find it. I don't want to spend too much time trying to find it. Oh yes, thank you, Sam, for telling anybody that is jumping in the Discord chat group. I'm going to try to make sure I have that up always too, so I can check into it. And I'm going to make dedicated show pages for each one of those, just as an alternative chat. That if you can't get into the YouTube chat, you can chat on that. We have had Chat Wing in the past. That will still exist, and I'll try to check in on that, but it hasn't been really good. It has a lot of ads on the page. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So anyone that is just a member of the chat wing room, please check out I'll keep that room open. I'm not going to delete it or anything like that, but please try to just join the Discord group because it's a much better chat platform. Timo, welcome, Timo, and thank you for keeping the discussion going last night. I checked in on yours and Sam's discussion before or later in the evening while I was watching the episode. Some fun stuff. Oh, I also want to get out of the way. Joe and I were texting last night during the show, just in case Joe isn't here, can't make it. Let's share Joe and I's text. I said, I think, okay, I said, this is intense as fuck, the beginning of this show. And he said, yep. I said, but again, I could give a little bit less on Wessex stuff for 2 seconds. They could have just kept it out of this episode, all Viking stuff. Right. Joe says, right. What the fuck? 1 minute of them riding out into the waste. Time filler. What the fuck? And, the kid that was watching, Harbard have some sex. I said, oh, that kid's a young Eugene in the making. Joe again mentions that Wessex should be its own show. It's really awesome stuff, but it feels like its own show. There should be crossovers, but it should be its own thing. And yeah, that was Joe and I's texting discussion during the episode right now. Joe is doing great. Joe is fine. He is not with us because of health reasons. He has officially quit the show. No, I'm kidding. I couldn't even make the April Fool's joke go. Joe just is a late nighter, so he hasn't necessarily got up for the day, but he's feeling a lot better. We'll be rip-roaring and go for Sunday, and he possibly might jump in with us at some point later in the broadcast, depending on how late we go and how he's doing today. He's someone that usually stays up to like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning every day. So he's usually not up until later. He worked the overnight shift for so many years, so he kind of got into that habit and stuff like that. So did you guys talk about the disturbing scene with Floki and Aslog? Not specifically, but we have made reference to it a couple of times. As I mentioned earlier, this isn't going to be the normal step-by-step recap. As I get up, everybody, sorry, I have to let the cat in. Come on in, cat. I'm just more going to be reviewing a couple of things. I did not take detailed notes last night, so this isn't going to be the point-by-point recap this week. I'm just glad to be able to do something this week. I was afraid timing would not permit it. Timo says, I'm like Joe, but I haven't slept yet. I'm sort of in the middle of there. I can stay up really late. I used to work at a convenience store 11 at night to 7 in the morning. I know we go off on little rants, not too far of a rant. We'll get right back to Vikings. Joe worked in an office from 12 to 8 a.m. So we were both really late night individuals. I enjoy that shift for some weird fucking thing. It does make you a little Ragnar, though, in the rest of your life. You're like, what the fuck? Fuck you. So let's get through a basic outline of a recap of this episode. So this episode starts out, where we go. Let me get to my basic notes. Okay, so it contains spoilers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so as we see all the ships approaching, everything is really exciting. It's leading up that this is going to be a big fight. We come from all the Vikings perspectives. They're really all pumped that they're about to attack. Ragnar, he's just completely fucking out of it on the boat. Like he is just completely in tweaker drug addict mood, and it's just really sad and hard to watch. Timo says, what do you guys think about Floki having a brand-like vision of Aslog and Harbard, showing he's becoming a seer eventually? What do you think? Good fucking point. For so long in that scene, I was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. But ultimately, that's where I came out on it too, is the fact that I was like, what the fuck? Who's having this vision? What's going on? Is this really happening? And then ultimately, I go, what's this mean? I go, someone's going to have to explain this to me. And then it occurred to me at the end of it too, that, oh, this is Floki becoming the seer, having visions, seeing this happen and knowing that it's happening, feeling it, actually getting inside of his body. And I thought that was really awkwardly uncomfortable to watch, but really effective in showing that to you, because it really created it inside of me, gave me this like kinesthetic emotional feeling inside of feeling, oh, I don't want to see, oh God, but then making me feel really, really uncomfortable. It's almost reminded me of a scene in Devil's Advocate when I think Charlize Theron's character is having sex and she keeps seeing like visions of demon heads and stuff like that. And it freaks her out and she starts having this like panic modes. And I thought that was extremely effective in the episode. And I feel like they do these dream segment type things so well. And they sometimes put me off kilter and I don't know what's going on. This was one of those scenes that I didn't know what was going on till the end. But Timo, I think you're 100% on that one. Dakota says, Timo, I stuck knitting needles in my eyes. Timo says, poor Ragnar, how did he become such a tweaker so fast? Sad to watch. And I felt like Ragnar in that scene for a minute. Totally. And I think this is where lies one of Vikings, I'm not going to say a weakness, but a definite thing about Vikings is the skipping ahead of time. I think what seems like minutes sometimes on Vikings is weeks and months. And I think in certain things, it's very acceptable. And again, this is nothing bad about it. I think this is just one of the tropes of Vikings that just exists, and it is. I'll make my term for the week. It is what it is. And I accept that they skip time periods. Sometimes it pisses me off. Sometimes it doesn't. It pissed me off with some of the stuff with Floki. I think in establishing Ragnar going from experimental with this thing into full blown tweaker, they did a decent episode arc of it, but I think they also skipped ahead some time when they went from, oh, he's really full on enjoying addict to full on, and I know tweaker usually means crystal, but full on tweaking, pookie, crack addict, whatever thing he is right now. So, Fern, oh my gosh, you guys in the chat again are cracking me the hell up as always. Thank you to everyone that's checking this out. I know this was not, usually we try to give a little bit of a notice about these events, so I'm psyched that any of you guys can come and check this out with us, with us, the Royalists, me and my cat. Check this out with me this afternoon. I appreciate it. Asri says, Aslog has vision powers too, and if Floki and Aslog had a kid, it would be the best seer ever. Team Rolo for life. Oh my gosh, now we see why the seer is licked. Dakota! Dakota's in the zone this morning or this afternoon. Loving it, Dakota. And great comment by Azarai. Great comment by that. And gosh, they both have seers. So was that maybe them connecting in mid-vision? What I'm curious of is I think only Floki was aware of what was going on. I wonder if Aslog got any vision or any feel that Floki was watching them, was going all Eugene on them. Very sick. Beginning of this episode, though, was so, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the beginning of this episode, to me, was the best Vikings is. When it shows you those big battles, whether the Vikings are losing or winning, it's tough to see. I get angry, I'm pissed off, and feel emotional watching Rollo fuck everybody that's cared about him, and especially when Ragnar freaks out on him and starts yelling at him, I saved you when no one else wanted you, and great performance by Travis there. Amazing. And the drug addict Ragnar might be very, very tough to watch. It really is exceptionally tough to watch. But I think that's a credit to Travis's performance in Ragnar. And just the progression of it. There is a picture going around out there in some of the Vikings Facebook group and stuff like that, where they show you all the different stages of Ragnar. And to see how probably the person doesn't look that different, probably has gained a little bulk or something like that. But for the most part, the actor looks fairly similar pretty much the same as he did at the start of the series, how they've transformed his character through losing the hair, different facial hairs expression, and now the way he's expressing being a drug addict is really effective at making me feel like shit watching it. And not to the point of, this is horrible. This is horrible portrayal. I don't believe Ragnar's a drug addict here. Yada, yada, yada. It's ultimately more along the lines of, wow, you're making me feel really uncomfortable. And in that way of watching someone that's really believable playing that kind of character going through that. I was gonna reference Requiem for a Dream again, but it's always my go-to in situations like that where I say, oh, that movie makes me feel uncomfortable. I could say any Aronofsky film, to be honest. He is giving me that kind of feeling where I don't want to watch this. I don't want to see this. It's uncomfortable, but that's what he's trying to do. Show us. It's like watching the greatest ball player you saw play before try to get out there and suck on the court and just be shitty right now. Like watching Jordan play in the Wizards. It was just tough to watch or something. Or Larry Bird, as a Boston fan, Larry Bird in those last seasons when he couldn't move his back. I mean, it was still effective, but you see these people that used to be these amazing athletes or amazing at the things that they're doing, and because of whatever reason, it fucks them up and it makes it hard to watch them again performing or doing these athletic activities. And it's even harder with someone like Ragnar, where it's, whether you want to blame Yoko for it, Yidu for it, or not, for breaking up the Beatles or not, ultimately, Ragnar kind of did this to himself. You can blame her for introducing it to him, but you're ultimately, no matter how much you're manipulated, Ragnar is a smart guy, and in this world, he's a smart guy, and he allowed himself to be manipulated in that moment. Like, not consciously, but in my mind, I feel like he needs to be just as responsible. I can't blame this all on her. At this point, he's gone further than she thought. She just wanted to manipulate him a little bit. She didn't want him to become shitty at his job. Oh, gosh. Ooh, that's too deep for me thinking in Aslog's vision. Yeah, beginning of the episode is why I love this show, Timo says. And yeah, it does make me feel bad for him. Makes you feel sorry for him, like someone we know and love being a drug addict. So bravo, Travis, for breaking our fucking hearts. Was Ragnar's kid watching Harbard and Aslog sending telepathy to Floki? Ooh, I didn't think about it like that. I was just thinking that he was a little pervert, but possibly. Maybe all of that in Floki more ways Floki could just feel stuff. Was Ragnar's kid? Oh my gosh, did I miss the Aslog scene? We've kind of been talking about it in and out, Sam, and this is not a normal recap. So if you guys if you have any questions or anything like that, we've been treading around it a bit. We haven't got to it. I'll make mention of it again when I get into it in my mini recap. So yes, it is fucked up stuff. Everyone has seen someone melt down that they care about. 100%. Everyone's seen somebody that we care, we feel, or that we feel like that we know or we believe in, or that, I don't know. There's just so many real life situations that rush to my mind that I want to say, but I mean, I think we all get the point here. It's just really tough to watch. It's really tough to watch your heroes fall. And Ragnar being someone I just loved watching on the show, outsmart and outdo everybody. It's tough to see, and it's exceptionally awesome that the show has gone there and show that it's part of the realism that makes Vikings, that verging on realism. But it is hard to watch. And yeah, the beginning of this episode is straight up amazing. Great big battles, really non-shaky cam at all. Everything is bright and vibrant so you can see everything. And it is stakes of our Viking warriors attacking. And whether it works out or not, it's still amazingly fun to watch. Welcome to Green and NY. Holy shit. Up onto the overturned keel, clamber with a heart in steel, cold as the ocean spray, and your death is on its way. Yes, Yoko and Aslog need to die. Ragnar should have stayed with Lagertha. I'm curious why Floki didn't assess the towers. Very good question. Hello from Singapore. Welcome from Singapore, my buddy. Awesome. Great to hear from you. As usual, I love doing these daytime casts because we get people from all over the world that might not be able to join us in our normal times because of time zone bullshit. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Welcome, our friends. So, why did Erlander continue to live? Good fucking question. Of all our Vikings that died in this episode, why couldn't his stupid ass die? Fucking hate him. Or why couldn't Bjorn just crush him? I think he's alive so we can watch Bjorn rip him to shreds in the right opportunity. 2 a.m. here. Oh, we've got 2 Singaporeans in the chat right now. Holy shit. Awesome. Thank you to both of you guys. As much as I'm thanking everybody in the chat, or everyone joining us live, but huge thanks to you guys. Timo says, so mad at Rollo. Can't believe he did this to our people. I think what bothers me more about Rollo, that bothers me a lot. Seeing him up there brings so much emotion out of me. And because of everything we've grown up with him, and I said this earlier, I accept his traitorous ways within the Viking family, or not even the family, but within going to another Viking king and trying to make his own way within the Viking world. But betraying his whole people like this and giving them insider secrets, it's like trading a player and then the player gives you all their playbook and stuff and you sign him just so he can bring the playbook, steal the playbook. That's why people sign confidentiality agreements. That's the whole point. And I know this is before the era. Rollo, the reason why confidentiality agreements were originally incited. No, but I'm pissed off that he's not down there fighting with the people. That he's brought himself out of it, because that's even more non-Viking for me. Seeing him up there, not going down there, not facing his brother in battle, pisses me off. And maybe that's just the Klingon in me, or the Viking in me, whatever. I'm so pissed off at Rollo, and especially because he's been him and Lagertha probably always been my favorite characters, with Ragnar very close as well. He's willing to kill Lagertha. What the fuck is that about? And even they make sure they show you that he knows that she's there. I absolutely love Rollo's transformation to Michael Corleone. Cold as a bitch, Michael Corleone, the psycho assassin. I knew it was you, Fredo. You're the one. You're the one. Cold as a cucumber. Fucking poor Fredo. Hugs him. But still looking at Neri in the eye, or was it Rocco? One of the two. You plans still exist, motherfucker. And that's the thing about this show. Any anger I'm showing towards any of these characters, I have to say, even in the performances of the right now, all the people that we're focusing on are very good performers and very good at selling our characters, especially in this episode. Seeing things from all the different perspectives really makes me hate Rollo or feel horrified about what Ragnar's going through. All those stuff is just a credit to all these fucking actors in the show for everything that they're putting together here this season. This is really some of the best Vikings from the beginning of this episode. Was just so goddamn intense. The scale was amazing. Seeing how Rollo prepared the Franks for this attack in setting up the chain in the water, and how it was all just to lure them in to get, and then the gasoline and all that shit. Just shit went crazy, and Rollo sitting up there just relaxing, and Odo out in the high definition, so you could be very aware of the actor's horrible hair dye. Okay, if I want to get nitpicky. Okay, Phil can't not get nitpicky. My middle name is Phil Nitpicky, the issues guy here. So I can't not say that Odo's hair looks ridiculous in the bright light of Vikings when they're outside and you get that perfect vision of the Vikings battles when I think Vikings is the best on television and that's of every show, including some other shows on HBO that I'm not going to make mention of at the moment but I think it's showing battles, huge battles. Vikings is probably the best, and out in the clearness of it that they shoot, it's always most of the time it's in bright light. It's in the daytime. It's real. You can just visually see everything, especially last season and so far this season. So seeing Odo's hair, the hair dye out in there in that situation, or the actor's hair dye to play Odo, is just ridiculously funny. It's like it's comically fake. Maybe he's wearing a wig. Maybe I'm an idiot and he's wearing a wig. I thought this represented Rollo killing his inner Viking and becoming a ruler. Excellent point, possibly. And that could be the transition there. Very good. Extremely good point. Well, we got or leaving the Red Sox and joining the Yankees. Yeah. Very similar thing. Odo needs Needs to meet in Acts 2, says NY. Timo says, so when did Rollo go from being a beast to being a bitch? It's very hard to handle that he was one of the best fighters. Sam, don't actually watch the show, but the ability for a character to make you feel visceral reaction, that's the statement of an actor. Great point, Sam. Excellent. Imagine Odo and Queen Crazy Pants. Woohoo! That would be some funny shit right there. Now that's some funny shit. I love that. That's some funny shit. Okay, so let's continue with our recap here, or our mini recap here. The Vikings approach. Rollo had to build to protect Paris. The 40 build to protect Paris. Rollo's there waiting and watching, ready to make the call for the Vikings. Now Lagatha's leading a group by fort, sneaking up from behind, but they're in like boggy ground. They like watered the grounds and stuff to make it all muddy and shit. And this all just ends up yada yada through this a little bit. Because you really got to watch it to get the full effect. It's this huge, epic, crazy battle that Rollo really sets up the Vikings for failure. And we see ships getting blown over. People are almost drowning. We see Floki almost drown, but Ragnar saves them. The brothers are saved. They also, all our main characters are basically saved in the situation, except for we get to eventually Helga, Floki's wife, is gravely injured in the situation, and is just holding on to life. Probably going to die very soon. But ultimately, out of all of this, it ends with Ragnar howling his grievances, problems at Rollo. And this was just so emotional, dudes. Dudes and dudettes. I'm like breaking this down. Dudes, this shit was emotional. I was losing it. I was going crazy. My heart was beating, and seeing the performance by Travis Fimmel in this moment, this was some of his best acting to me, when he is yelling at Rollo, just screaming at him. Why did you do this? I saved you. You motherfuckers. I just couldn't contain myself. I didn't start full on crying, but I was like, oh my God, Ragnar, talk to me. Please, Ragnar. Did you guys see crazy pants with their crazy pants and their crazy eyes in the next clip for next week? Oh shit, next week's going to be a full-on crazy pants sandwich. I am excited about that. Yeah, it was very emotional. I was more pissed at Rollo because the emotions I felt for our Vikings. They all just did a great job. Yeah, and Floki, the actor did Floki, the guys that played those two brothers, how they're enjoying all of this on some weird level, the reaction, and the way that the actor that plays Rollo played it all just very. And when someone said in the chat, I think it was NY, I'm not sure, but when somebody said something about him turning into Michael Corleone, I forget who said that in the chat. I could scroll up. But that's very true. And the way that Pacino, people see Pacino now and they, I'm about Pacino, yeah, blah, blah, everything like that. But ultimately, Pacino in The Godfather, the role that really, burst him onto the scene. Before that, he was very shy, reserved. And as he turned into Michael, he had those moments when he blew up. But Michael didn't get emotional. He got even. And just the way he looked at everything. And that was where the actor that plays Rollo was really going for in this performance. Just holding in every emotion, was not making a lot of emotion, but you could see it all in his lack of outwardly visually expressing emotions. And that's what Pacino does so well in the Godfather movie, that maybe he doesn't do so well in his later career when he's playing a caricature of himself in some roles. A caricature of his Scent of the Woman character, really. Once he did Scent of a Woman, every Pacino character had an element of that after that. Maybe Carlito, but even Carlito had a little bit of it. So, but early Pacino and some of those early roles, it was in everything he didn't do as well that carried through these emotions. And the actor that plays Rollo really portrayed that similar sort of thing in the scene. Hey, Brown Sugar, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome all of our friends that are joining us today in the live chat. So the battle ends with Ragnar howling his grievances, and it's a really horrible moment of emotions. So then we see the Vikings we eventually see all the Vikings retreating to the camp. It's just devastating situation. Helga's life is right at hanging edge. Floki is really devastated, but all the other Ragnar's sons are really devastated too. They're all hugging and shit like that, and just a really hardcore emotional moment. One of the worst losses, if not the worst loss we've ever seen our Vikings take. So now, if you've forgotten and you got a little away from everything that was going back down in with Aslog and Harbard, we get to go over there. We get to see themselves. They walk around Kattegat for a while. We see Harbard having sex with a girl and Ragnar's kid watching a different girl, and then they're walking around. They're talking, yada yada yada. I didn't really take great notes about their scenes, and I got to admit, everything that I loved about this episode was in that first 15 minutes. I liked a lot of the other stuff that happened later on. I enjoyed and thought it was very, very good. But that beginning part of this episode was the best this show's been this season. And that's not to say anything's been bad this season, but that's what I love. That's what I love. What the fuck's wrong with me? That's what I love. That's the shit I really love on this show. I love when it does that, and I love when it's huge like that. I love it huge. And my says, and poor Helga. Helga's always catches hell. She's the sweetest woman on the show. She wouldn't hurt a fly, and her life just sucks. That's what happens when you're with Floki. Floki fucking sucks. Timo says, yeah, it did it for me too. Then the look on Roa, which caused so disappointed. Ollie, welcome, Ollie Ant. Helga's still alive, though, for now. Floki gave her the ruins he gave Ragnar. So hopefully she will be all right. I hope so, too. I love her, too. I hope so, too. I hope she's okay. I love her. So, okay, so just when you think, so we get back to Kattegat, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so Kattegat, as Floki is in despair over Helga and her injuries. On the mountaintop, we see this. He's in the mountaintop, all upset. Here, when we get into this scene, he sees a vision of Aslog. She's there, and then it turns into this weird mixture of him having sex. We talked a lot about this earlier. Just one of these weird type of scenes. We've seen it in a lot of other things that have had scenes like this, or visions that are enhanced this way. When you keep seeing something else every time you come up and down, it's someone else, and very well edited together. Exceptional job at the way the Vikings editors put this part together. One of my other favorite scenes of the episode, even though it made me feel all seven kingdoms of icky, it made me feel. So I felt really uncomfortable while going through it, but it ultimately got me to the place where I needed to be. Oh God, what is wrong with me today? Fucking A. This is what happens. This is what happens when I'm left to my own devices. So then we see the vision of they're banging, and it cuts over to Harbard and her banging too, and ultimately I think I come out on the side that this was what Timo was kind of hinting at the beginning in the chat, that this was our seeing Floki becoming a seer and having some sort of vision of Aslog doing this, and kind of just being, what the fuck? And so this is what being a seer is? I guess that's my only interpretation for it. Unless they were connecting in some sort of mental Vulcan mind meld of some sort. And she was having sex with him and thinking about having sex with Harbard, but thinking about Floki, or Floki's connected to the gods and Harbard's really a god. And so he could feel the gods were talking to Floki, telling him what was happening. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's similar to the first thing too. So, I mean, it can be anticipated, it can be analyzed and broken apart in a lot of different ways. But ultimately, I think I come on the side of what Timo was saying. Green says, can someone please kill Aslog? I hope it's coming. God, I hope it's coming, because I don't want to watch her coming in. I know. I hope she's coming. Ass slut. Gonna jump in and say hi. Never get to see you guys live. Welcome, Lady Vader KMC1. Huge thank you. I'm so glad that I happened to be doing this at this weird time today and was able to have you jump into the chat and say hi for a second. Really awesome stuff to be able to check in with some people that maybe watch our stuff and don't get to jump in live. So huge thank you for checking out all of our stuff. And our ninjas in the back that maybe can't always jump in the chat or don't always share their comments. You guys mean as much to me and to Joe and to Katie and to everyone else involved in the channel as everybody does. So that's jumping in the chat. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for jumping in and saying hello. Hello, lady. Dakota says, my privates. I'm going to add a little bit to Dakota's comment. Phil, I appreciate what you're saying, but my privates will never work again after seeing that scene. Sorry, Dakota. I added a little editorializing in that comment. Timo says, the seer told Ragnar he will die when the blind man sees. Is that Floki losing his sight and becoming a seer? Very interesting perspective, Timo. I think Timo and I are Viking Vulcan mind melding today. The horror. I wish Natalie Dormer was in Vikings as Lagatha's sister. That would never be a bad thing. Again, I can't recommend there's a Vikings group on Facebook for anyone that's in Vikings. I think it's called like Vikings fans Westeros fans of Vikings or something. And there were some pictures shared of Lagatha in that group of her before Vikings doing some glamour shots of sort. That's all I got to say about that. Okay, so let's get through this shit. Meanwhile, in Wessex, I really give a shit about England right now. There's so much awesome shit going on. I would have rather. I don't want to play this game again. I'm picking some nits because I really do like this stuff. I think it's really done well. But because of the nature of this episode, I would have rather they go over to Paris and seeing more Rollo after this battle and hearing him talk a little bit and seeing his immediate reaction to it. I didn't need to see any Wessex tonight. As much as I love the Wessex stuff, and next week looks like it's going to be Wessex heavy with Crazy Pants. I keep calling it Wessex, but Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria stuff. I'm interested in all of that stuff. I think it should be its own episodes. I think tonight should have been all Vikings in Paris stuff. We got two of the stories connecting. Everything should have been in one of those two storylines. I don't even mind the ass log shit for a second because at least it's Viking stuff. But even that I could have dealt without any of that tonight. But you needed it because I think the Floki vision's important. So I'm accepting all that, and that's pretty cool. And it ended up working for the episode. But with the Wessex stuff, interesting shit, but you could have left it off at the end of last episode. It was a good ending point. Skip an episode, have this all be, I know I'm, again, Phil, nitpick issues guy here, and have us actually go inside Paris here after our battle on the camp, and then going back and forth between the camp and then how Rollo's reaction and everyone celebrating because he did a congratulations mission, or Rollo and Odo having a discussion about it after the fact or something like that. I don't know. That's just me being a little nitpicky, but of what I would have wanted or what I was hoping was going to be happening after those first 15 minutes. So that's why when we went to Wessex in this episode, I was kind of like, oh, fuck, dude. No, not tonight. Not tonight. Anyway, says this is the first Wessex episode I didn't like. Yeah, it should have been all Vikings at least one episode, says Timo. Justin, England is so boring. They need to stick with the Vikings. And I see, and this is, normally I would defend it because I would say I enjoy that stuff. And I guess I want to cover my base on that to say Joe and I have said this in probably almost every one of these podcasts for Vikings this season. And I'll say it again. The stuff is interesting enough if you're into it to stand on its own or have its own episodes dedicated to it, to just go there because you feel like you have to go there when an episode that's definitely all about something else. It's unnecessary, and it's too many cooks a little bit, essentially. And it makes me come to the point where you're going to make me dislike it because you're giving it to me in episodes like that where I'm like, okay, I'm just so bored with this. More, okay. More. This is my reaction during the England, the Wessex stuff tonight. Okay. Back to Paris. Come on, back to Paris. I want to see Ragnar more. England needs its own show. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Because it makes me feel that way. If it was its own show, I'd be fucking interested in it week to week. I would watch that shit. I'd be sitting in front of my television. I repeat this a lot, but I'm going to say it again. I never thought I'd tell someone to do this, but copy the CW. Do what they do with Flash and Arrow. Have them have the two separate shows and crossover several times within each season. Maybe even more crossover. Have every 3 episodes have a crossover between the two episodes. You can do more with the storylines and really get crazy with perspective. And you definitely throughout history have enough to tell these tales. And you hire a bunch of more people. You get more people working. I think they should. I can't say this. I feel like I'm a repeat. I feel like I'm on the repeat cycle. So, but I'll just say it a couple more times. So maybe someone will hear. It needs to be its own goddamn show. The Last Kingdom BBC show, great show. A couple of people have been trying to get me to watch that. I have watched the beginning of the first episode online. I did love what I saw so far. That hopefully I will be able to do a video on that in some way over the summertime when we're in our little break. But what I've seen of the show, I do very much like, and it's on my list of shows to check out. I think I might be Dakota that's the huge fan of that show that has been suggesting that to me. And Justin gives the thumbs up as well. But yeah, I dig it. Just needs its own show. Last time in this podcast. Until next week when I say it again. So back in Paris, we see the defeat is just fucking heavy on Ragnar's soul here. And Yidu is there, and she's trying to get him to cut back on drugs. Like, now's the time to stop doing the drugs, Ragnar. And Ragnar's like, fuck you. Give me the drugs. No, and he just pushes her away. This was just a sad scene to watch because he played drug addict so fucking well that I felt for everybody in that scene and was so overwhelmed again of, oh my God, Ragnar, don't be this person. And he eventually just rips it out of her hands and takes it, and because she gives him the, oh, there's no more left, so you can get off of it a little bit. And he just takes it all. But I'm curious is, did he take all of it? Is that it? Once he does that, is he gone? Is he going to be forcibly forced into sobriety here because there's going to be no more of what she has for him? And is he just good? We see in the preview, not to get too far to previews for next week, because I don't like to talk about that because they're always deceptive. Is he fucking drowning her in the next episode because she's out of drugs and he can't? Or is it Floki, which is probably the obvious thought, but I think it's her. I could be completely off. I think he runs out of drugs and next week loses his shit. We're going to be crossed between Ragnar completely losing his shit because he's out of drugs completely and crazy pants stuff next week. He does play drug addict really well. King Ecbert and Rollo for life. I love Ecbert. Ecbert again was really kind of cool in this episode, and it's a shame again that I can't be nicer about those scenes. But I love the scene with Ecbert and W or whatever his name was, the guy he met, and seeing how Ecbert's going to become the king of the kings in this episode, and like seeing his whole progression. I really love that character. I really love the actor that plays him. He's doing an exceptional job in the role. I don't mean to downgrade some of the good stuff that's going on with the Wessex storyline. It's just in an episode like this, I go and I'm all on the Joe boat of, do we really need this? Do we need this in this episode? No, I don't feel like we needed it in this episode. So I feel like really awesome stuff, and I'm really proud of the manipulative cycle that he's gone of great stuff. Great. Littlefinger and Varys would be like, good job, Ecbert. You've got skills. They really would. So, I mean, I appreciate everything he's going through. It's just a little frustrating for me. When all season I've been saying, okay, it's a good balance. Once we get complete good balance, I don't mind it as much. Joe's more been on board of it needs to be, and I said it needs its own show, but I accept it and I usually like it and everything. This is the first episode that I felt that almost anger about it. Like, come on, not this week. I thought it was Yidu. Throwing up shrooms isn't fun. W looks straight out of Lord of the Rings. He really does. Yes, Phil Ecbert is the little figure of Vikings. Next week on Ragnar sees babies on the ceiling and gets all who's about being Scottish. Bigger men. You guys, again, are in the chat, as usual, are completely cracking me up. So let us go. Mushrooms always help. Mushrooms always help them out. Made for good television. The shrooms really, there's no one saying anything bad about shrooms in this podcast. He was just saying that throwing them up is not fun. And empirical evidence here, no fun. Not saying I ever did this or anything, but the best way of possibly taking them is the newfangled way where they're just baked into a chocolate piece and you just eat what's almost like like box of chocolate. You're like, life is like a box of tripping chocolates. Never can tell what kind of trip you're going to get. Again, not that I condone that kind of activity. So Ragnar at the end of the episode is just seen like muttering like a crazy man, which is the worst part. I think we need to retreat. We're going to retreat. That was the toughest point at the end of this episode when we see Ragnar go full ridiculosity and like kind of losing his shit because he can't come up with a plan. And Bjorn's like, listen, we've been waiting weeks and weeks and weeks for a plan here, dude. Or no, 3 days. I forget how many days he says. It's been 3 days and we're still waiting for a fucking plan. What is your goddamn plan? And he basically says, we're going to retreat. And he starts mumbling, retreat. So it's just some really fucked up shit and really emotional stuff to kind of see Ragnar going through. And could he be going through withdrawals in this moment as we see him just full out? Is it flashed a little bit ahead of time where he's out of drugs and now he's full on, or is he just fully all fucked up? Are all the Vikings going to listen to him, or is this going to be the point where someone else takes power? Because I have a feeling these Vikings aren't going to want to retreat. It's going to be very interesting to see where it goes from this point on for these last couple of episodes of the season. What was this, episode 7? So we have 8, 9, and 10. We have 3 more episodes of Vikings for this half of the season. And then we have 10 more for the back half. So it's going to be very fucking fun to see where this all goes. So he will only... Ragnar needs a psychiatrist, someone says in the chat. Let's get into the chat. As I mentioned, this will be quicker than a normal cast. I need to go in... No, I was just going to actually say what I need to. I need to go and go pick up my auntie. I have to go find my auntie. So let's jump in the chat for a little bit before we call this a review or recap. Ragnar's youngest son needs to step up. I don't remember how I remember. Oh, Dakota says, let's scroll in the chat over here. Ragnar's character deserves to go out better than this. They can't make him go down crazy, strung out like a dope addict. I agree. And Edward says, if Ecbert's Littlefinger, then Floki's Forrest Gump. He just bumbles through every disaster, getting lucky while his loved ones suffer. Oh my gosh. Just up with Ragnar, speaking to the head. Mushrooms always help out. Ragnar's a good psychiatrist. Bjorn should take over. I'm ready to see more Bjorn. And I think we were talking about this earlier. I think that's the intentions by the show creators here, and the intentions by the directors and the filmmakers and Travis too, trying to make you feel and get to that point where audience is going to be screaming for him to die. But I agree with what NY said, that I hope Ragnar comes back from this and we get one last more great Ragnar moment to maybe set up him dying, that when the blind man can see him again or something like that. Maybe it could be seen as right now as a drug addict, he's blinded by the drugs. And when he can see himself again, then he will die. When he becomes a man and can lead his guys in the battle. I'm reaching with that one. But who knows how it could go. I have a feeling we're going to see great Ragnar one more time. I don't think the show will have him completely go out like this way, like be killed by another Viking in this moment, or be captured because he's weak like this. I see the show bringing him down to bring him back up one more time. I could be wrong, though. Bjorn should take him out. 20 episodes this season, right? Yes, correct. We have 3 more episodes, and then there's going to be a break. I don't know how long the break is. I'll try to do some more research on this, but before the season finale that we do here. But I'm guessing they're probably going to come back at the end of the summer and be going through the fall season up until the end of the year and through the end of the year, or maybe starting in the fall season, starting in September-ish. Again, it'll probably be a extended break. If anybody knows or anyone has any information of that, share it in the comment section below. I would love to hear if anyone has any perspective on that. I know some people that check us out are part of the Viking crew and cast. So huge thanks to all of you guys and girls that may be checking us out. So if any of you guys have any information about that, if that's open information, definitely share those thoughts in the chat box below or the comments later. 20 episodes this season. Dakota says every episode has been like a monster this season. So true, and such a great progression. And seeing that they have more time to work with, I think they're really playing with things more. And it's really fun to watch Vikings explode this season and turn into such an awesome show. Not that it wasn't an awesome show before, but seeing it establish itself in these last couple of seasons and really just be consistently one of the greatest shows on TV. And to me, for my interest in seeing it be discovered a little bit more and get more episodes and get more popularity and get a little bit more money so the budget keeps going up, it's just a really awesome progression to watch it build into this. That's what I mean, more of a production-wise, to see it turn into one of the best shows on television. Because at the beginning, it was, for the most part, some problems with it, but historically accurate, really great individual performances, and an adoption to history in a way that hasn't been done completely before really made it great. The scale has just kept getting better and better as the profits have rose and rose. And it's great to see everything that goes into each episode, because each episode is like a monster of audio visual shit going on. It's not just the acting. It's not just the music. It's not just visually of what you see. It's everything that combines perfectly into making an episode of Vikings. And they're these surreal experiences, and they may not necessarily, I might not understand what's going on in every moment and look at things and come at things from a different perspective or be completely wrong, as I'm prone to be sometimes. But it's just so much fun to look into and analyze. Right now, the shows that we're talking about, this show, Better Call Saul, and getting ready for Game of Thrones, are just so exceptionally great at being able to look and see the scene and just read so much into it. And Vikings is getting to that point right now where I just love seeing the production that goes into it and every aspect that goes to create this amazing program. So why does Lagatha always do sneaky tactics? I hope they don't leap too far in time in the breaks, as Green, as always says. Why does Lagatha do sneaky tactics? Timo has a good answer: because she's good at it. Because she's small. I hope the break won't be more than a month. I hope so too, but I have a bad feeling it might be a long time. I could be completely wrong though. I usually am. I have a weird feeling they might do a big jump for time before the next half a season starts, but I hope it's only a month or two as well. I hope it's not that big of a break. Historically, Bjorn starts sailing the world soon. Yes, that does have to happen very soon. And I think they seeded that at the beginning of the season and the last season as well. Timo says, the music in this episode was so awesome. The dark sound that plays the last episode of the season, don't know the name of it, but I love it. Great stuff. And I do want to point something out that one of our friends of the show that is part of the production of the show put something in the comment section below of last week's episode, that the guy that was playing the music on the pier as everyone was walking off, was playing the drum there, is actually one of the people that does the music for Vikings. I think he's the guy that orchestrated, that wrote the soundtrack, the theme song to Vikings and stuff like that. I'd have to read the comment exactly, but if you want to check out last week's Vikings recap video and look in the comments section, you can see someone respond to what Joe and I were saying about that guy last week, and tell us his name and that he's responsible for a lot of the music that goes on Vikings. So really cool stuff. And also there's some interesting Viking news, historical Viking news, that is all in the news today about more Viking stuff possibly found in North America somewhere. So very interesting stuff just to be a fan of Vikings in general right now. So they need an award. Lagatha, of course. I hope whoever does the music in the show gets an award. NY says, Timo agrees, they need an award ASAP. Azrai says, Ro has been giving Gisa fighting lessons, and Lagatha pushed Ragnar off. Lagatha versus Brianna Tarth would be a hell of a fight. That would be an awesome fight. Actually, they would be a better team than a battle. They would destroy all of Westeros or all of Viking land if the two of them were a team. But unfortunately, my friends and family and great people of the FOP and rest of my friends, I unfortunately have to go right now and call this slightly prematurely than I would have rather liked to do, but I do have to call this a week, everybody. Thank you so much for checking it out. Next week we will be back with a full-on recap of the episode of Vikings with some sound clips and everything like that. As I mentioned before, both Better Call Saul and Vikings are both usually will be on after the episodes air on the Eastern Standard Time, but occasionally both will be the next day, depending on some stuff, depending on some factors, bullshit life factors. So, but we will be back next week, normal time, probably after the episode of Vikings next week, to talk about some more Vikings with Joe and Kate. And we will also touch upon this episode with them too, so Joe can share his thoughts. And we will also be back this Sunday to talk about the season finale of The Walking Dead at about 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, between 10:30 and 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to try to get on as soon after the show as possible, maybe even on right at 10:30. Like literally episode ends, come on. We're going to try to set that up so we can go on, maybe connect and start everything early so we can just jump into it. So everybody, again, thank you so much for checking this out. If you haven't already and you enjoyed this Vikings recap review, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with a friend, share your thoughts in the comment section below if you haven't already. I mean, I know you're sharing your thoughts in the chat as well, but the chat does not get saved. So if you have any other thoughts that pop in your head that you want to share in the chat section below, share it. Pop it on in sometime during the week. Also love to read your comments during the week and try to respond to as many of them as I possibly can. Also, everybody, if you have any questions, you can always email me at igotissuesman@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter at igotissuesman. Find me on Facebook, the Phil's Recap and Review. Join the FOP Friends of Phil group on the Google Plus there, the Google Plus communities. You can find the link to that in the description box below. Join the Discord chat so people can stay connected and chat in between shows. You can jump in there right now. I'm pretty sure someone can pop in the link to that. Sam might be able to do that. Pop in the link to that room, the shareable link in the or Dakota possibly as well too, can pop it in the chat room right now, or I can try to find it too. And if you want, and I'll put it in at the end after the show, and you guys can jump in there right away and keep the discussion going about these episodes. And absolutely, please check out Azare Rokim's recap as well. Mike B's recap as well. Absolutely, I will definitely check out Mike B's recap. I was trying to promote your recap. I was like, check out your recap. Not a bad Vikings recap. Awesome. I'll definitely check that out. Maybe we could, I will talk to them, and maybe if we have a commonality, we could do a Vikings recap together with him. I'm all for, there's not too many other Vikings recap and reviewers out there. So when I can find them, it would be awesome to do some other content with them. I might be doing something with another, with Mark later in the year. Mark from Enchantment of Eternity sent me something. He also covers Vikings as well, and we might try to touch base about a couple of the shows that we both talk about after the seasons are done. I haven't responded to him yet, but I guess I'm responding to you now, Mark, if you happen to be watching this. But I will respond to you soon in that message. So everybody, thank you so much. I will share there we go. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing that link to the chat. For anyone else that wants to jump in and keep the discussion alive, I will open up a room dedicated to Vikings chat right now before I go. So everybody, thank you so much. We will talk to you next time. Myself and my cat will talk to you next time for some fun. Let's play some music, damn you. Okay, Phil, I'll play the music. Goodbye, everybody. Love you, Lola. Hopefully see you on Sunday.
Oh no, why you go when you're less than me? You got to know. All people got to say, but they never want to leave me, never want to pray. All these people say they come by their energy. They find all these scenes, they go, no, 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 no. Every time my brain, I try to find my energy. You know, rock the name, I got my focus, got to say. Combine energy, combine all history. Don't worry about my brain, all these people wanna go my way. You don't understand how much you laugh, how much the man. You don't know your way, you gotta find my breath, gotta find the same.
I think I might at least try to run a camera for a live reaction or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how that would manifest itself, but I would like to maybe try to do something. I'm going to think about options for that. Maybe even do a periscope or some shit like that.
Don't know why, but you gotta smoke some sass. Breath, don't know.